All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are going to take on one of the most famous sayings in the entire world. It's a phrase you've heard 1,000 times, but we're about to flip it completely on its head.
Yep, there it is. Knowledge is power. It's attributed to the English philosopher Francis Bacon, and this idea has been drilled into us basically since kindergarten, right? It's so simple, it's catchy, and it just sounds true. The more stuff you know, the more powerful you become. Our whole education system is pretty much built on this idea.
But what if it's not? What if that core belief we've all accepted is actually, a huge misunderstanding? That's the big question we're digging into today. Is knowledge really the ultimate source of power? So let's start by unpacking how this idea, even though it's totally well-intentioned, can be seriously misleading, especially when we're trying to learn.
I mean, think about it. When we tell a student knowledge is power, what they really hear is just memorize these dates, pass this exam, get that piece of paper, and boom, you'll be powerful. It accidentally turns learning into this race to just accumulate information, to fill our brains up with as many facts as possible, hoping that the sheer amount of what we know will somehow guarantee we succeed. But that way of thinking misses a huge, crucial piece of the puzzle.
Because the truth is, knowledge, all by itself, has some pretty serious limitations. So let's break down exactly what those are. This slide gives us the perfect analogy. Just picture a library. It's filled with an unbelievable amount of knowledge, right? But the library itself can't write a new book. It can't solve a new scientific problem. It's just a passive container for information. The human brain, on the other hand, well, it can take all that same information, mash it together in new ways, and create something that's never existed before. See the difference? Just having the information is not the same as being able to use it.
And look, this is not some new revolutionary idea. We're talking more than 2,000 years ago. Socrates was pointing out that real wisdom, it starts with being humble. It starts when you recognize just how much you don't know. The moment you believe your knowledge is complete, that you've got it all figured out, well, ironically, that's the moment you stop being able to learn anything new.
In fact, we can take this a step further. Sometimes, what you already know isn't just unhelpful. It can actually become your single biggest obstacle. Let's look at a real-world example of this.
Okay, so imagine 3 people who are absolutely at the top of their fields. We've got someone with a PhD from a top university, a super high-powered business executive, and a woman who's incredibly wealthy and successful. By any normal standard, these people are overflowing with knowledge and power. And yet, despite all that success, all that expertise, they're all facing the exact same monumental challenge. One that all their PhDs, their business smarts, and their life experience just can't seem to crack: raising their kids in the world we live in today.
And this is just a perfect illustration of our whole point. The world their kids are navigating now is so dramatically different from the one they grew up in. The old parenting playbooks, the life lessons that worked a generation ago, a lot of them are just obsolete now. Their knowledge has become static, frozen in time. So when they try to apply it to this new dynamic reality, it doesn't just fail, it actually creates conflict. It becomes a roadblock. Their expertise has literally turned into a liability.
So, if just knowing things isn't the real power, then what is? This brings us to the most important part of this whole explainer. And really, who better to guide us on this than Albert Einstein himself? He said that a real education isn't about stuffing your head with facts. It's about training your mind to think. And that is the fundamental shift. The real power isn't in what you know. It's in how you think. So what exactly is this thinking ability? Well, you can really break it down into 3 key skills. First, being able to see the world as it actually is, not as you wish it were or as it used to be. Second, it's about using those clear-eyed observations to make good, sound judgments. And third, and this is probably the most important one, it's the ability to adapt, to change your approach when the world changes. It's all about being flexible, not rigid. So let's bring this all home. We're going to put the old belief system right next to this new understanding to get a really clear final takeaway. So the old belief, its focus was all on accumulating facts. But the new understanding, the focus is on developing skills. The old belief valued what you know, the new one values how you think. And the end result is the biggest difference of all. The old way gets you static expertise, which, as we saw with the parents, can become useless pretty quickly. But the new way, that leads to dynamic adaptation. And that is the true source of power in a world that never, ever stops changing.
And that leaves us with one last, really crucial question to ask ourselves. And I mean, really think about this one. Look at the knowledge and expertise you built up. In your job, in your life, in your relationships. Is that knowledge a flexible tool that's helping you adapt and grow? Or has it become a rigid set of rules that's actually stopping you from seeing the world as it truly is today? The answer to that question, well, that's where you'll find what real power is.